If you don't think you deserve it, the universe won't ever serve it. And then there's a guy crying over his genie bottle. You're way too smart to be the only thing standing in your way. Like most things in life, if what you think of yourself up here is all backwards and you're not thinking straight, not thinking you deserve it, we're the limiting factor in a lot of things we do in our life. So, like most areas in our life, it's if you want to make change, it begins with an identity shift. It begins with what are the things and thoughts you're telling yourself. Who do you identify as? And we often talk about the audition hero mindset,
Mm-hmm.
which is seeing yourself as a lead player in your own life and striving to become a lead player in TV, film, and theater versus thinking that you're too small for that, or that you'll only ever be a one-liner, or that you don't deserve these big shots, that you don't have the chops to stand face to face with top actors in scenes, which also means you need to work at it too. You don't want to be delusional as well. I think you need to set your sights really high, and then you need to make your actions align with what is someone what does someone with that top identity do? How to, like, what does their day look? To start with the thoughts, but then what are their actions?
Mm-hmm.
And then align yourself with the actions of that top, highest self, best identity, and then strive towards becoming that person. Much in line with what Tom says about becoming a professional human being. Actors are professional human beings. I love that. So it all starts up here. Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
think you're going to get it. That's people talk about manifestation as well. That's like thoughts become things. So you could take all the classes you want, read all the books, do all the craft stuff. But if your own inner psychology is messed up and you're thinking that you're not going to deserve this, or maybe you have a starving artist mindset, it's like you never really get out of that. If you think, oh, I'm destined to be a scrappy, starving artist, I'm never going to be paid what I'm worth. I'm never going to be a lead player. I'm not worthy of being in a lead role. All of those negative things, imposter syndrome that people have, all of those things are going to hold you back. So that's why we talk a lot about uplifting yourself and changing your identity.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you do to help you get back into that mindset? Maybe like something has caused some doubt in you, and then you're getting yourself back on track, Lars.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things. I mean, it's filling your mind with positive things from the moment you get up, whether that's meditation, whether that's affirmations, it's reading a chapter from someone inspiring, listening to a podcast from inspiring people. Also, it comes from confidence of learning your craft too. So I think the more you are taking classes, the more you're learning, the more time you're devoting to the craft, whether it's doing voice and speech workouts, whether it's working on a monologue, working on a scene, immersing yourself in the business. I think all of that plays into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, and then it's also taking care of your energy and your body too. We all know, like, if you're not getting sleep, you're not eating well, you're using or abusing too many substances. I know everyone's got their vices and everyone has their weaknesses, and we know nobody's perfect, but without that type of energy, which comes from getting enough rest, getting proper nutrition, getting some exercise, activating your body, getting fresh oxygen and blood into your muscles and body, all that helps. And if you're not feeling that way, which is challenging too, we're in the season of winter right now, and a lot of people have seasonal affective disorder is a thing. Depression is a thing amongst artists as well, and so I think it's having an intention and being intentional about your mind and the mind body connection. It's not separate, like it's all one thing. Our body is our mind is our body. Feeding yourself uplifting things, also surrounding yourself with uplifting people. I've noticed, I've for sure gone through a little bit of a season myself over the last few months where my energy was often low at times. I've felt not. It's funny. Chris Locke mentioned it last week. I think a lot of the times, if you're in a depressed state, and I think most people have been in some kind of stress or anxiety or depressed state at some point in their lives, but you don't really see it clearly until you kind of clear some of the fog, which is nice because it's now springtime and summer is on the way and sunshine's happening. But I think after the fact, you can be like, oh, was kind of out of it. If you're not exercising and you're not sleeping right and you're not taking care of yourself and you're not feeding yourself positive things, it's easy to slip into some negativity and some regression. And I've heard the quote, there's no, like, you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. There's not really any standing still in life. So you're either growing and improving and elevating, or you're slipping and sliding and sinking into negativity. It's kind of the yin and yang of dark versus light, and maybe not as far as good versus evil, but certainly dark versus light energy.
Yeah.
What about you?
I need to work on having better strategies a lot of the time. I feel I've been feeling down myself, and I feel like I need to make a change. I need to find something. I keep talking about finding a gym that has a basketball court, and really I just need to sit down and do one Google search.
Right.
That's what all it would take.
Right.
And I haven't done that. And then I keep telling myself, oh, I'll just wait for the snow to clear, or
Right.
oh, it's a nice day, I'll go out and do that, and then it starts raining, or then it starts snowing, or whatever. And I need to find something to do. I need to find, and I always get this feeling, especially the last couple months, is like I'm not doing enough, and I hate that feeling. But like I talk to people and they're like, "What? You're always doing stuff."
Right.
And it's like it's that perception. It's like,
right.
oh, well, I don't feel like I'm doing enough, but I am. And I'm always running around and I'm always doing something, and I'm always in the business, or working on performing, or working on the craft, or whatever it is.
Right.
But I sometimes need to give myself a break as well.
Yeah, that's
Right?
part of it. I mean, that also ties into that quote from James: the less you do, the more you earn. It's like, find your zone of genius, and lean into that stuff hard. But it's also a growth and progress. As human beings, we can all be doing amazing things. I'm sure there's days where Oprah or Obama are thinking like, yeah, I'm really stagnant, and you look at them and you're like, you're fucking incredible. Like, I wish I had like an ounce of what you had. But I think we all get to that point, and then you take it for granted. And you've heard the quote, like, 5 years ago, the person you 5 years ago dreamed about being the person that you are today. And then we do this weird thing where we get to the top of the mountain, and eventually we're like, what else is next? What else is next? And I think part of that is also putting satisfaction and happiness on external things versus finding the satisfaction and happiness from process, from growth, from the journey, from community, from love, from self-love, all of those things, versus, oh, when I get the next gig, when I get the next booking, when I get on that TV show, when I get a bigger role, when I have more money, when I have my mansion, when I live in LA, when I'm in Malibu. Like, it's just on and on and on and on and on. So we're our lizard brains make it pretty easy for us to ruin all of our blessings. Or Tom Todoroff will say, your ego will ruin every blessing in your life. So you get all this amazing things, and then you're like, but I want more. This isn't enough. So it's that weird, it is a weird balance of like, always, I've heard some people say, always happy, never satisfied. Like, that way, like, you can be hungry for more. I don't think, I'm certainly not one that feels like, I don't think ambition is a dirty word or anything. I think it's good to grow, and it's good to want more for you and your family and for other people, but not at the expense of your own sanity and your own happiness, where you and this is far, like, we would still say, like, you and I and a lot of people we're working with here at the studio, we're not A-listers, so we're not at the pinnacle of our career and finances and business, still on the ascension, I think, many of us. But then you look at people who are like Jim Carrey has so countless number of interviews where he was like, I had everything in the world and I reached every level and every amount of money and every accolade you could ever get. And still you get there and you're like, okay, well, what else is next? And I think he's one who's really found that it's spiritual and mental, and it's finding love and finding community and finding connection and just continuing to grow as a human being, not the red carpet or the awards or the numbers of zeros in your bank account necessarily. But all that stuff's great too. But you got to be satisfied and happy yourself.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing that needs to be at the forefront is like, you need to focus on you. You need to give
Right.
yourself, you give yourself forgiveness, but also give yourself the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is doing your best too. We talk about this in
Yeah.
auditions. No matter what you're getting in life, no matter what you're achieving, roles you're getting in the showbiz place, money you're making, accolades you're getting, you all know, we all know on the inside if we're being our best, or if we have another gear. Are we really living up to what we feel is our own potential? Are we being our highest self? And I think the bigger that gap is in your head of who you know truly you can be versus who you are actualized to be in real life, what are you doing right now, where are you at right now, the bigger that gap is, the more frustrated we'll be. But only you know that inside. On the outside, you could look at someone and be like, they have everything, they're amazing, their life is perfect. But if inside their own head they're not being their best self, then they're always going to fall short in unhappiness. So it's being your best, being a growth-minded person. With auditions, it's we always talk about this. You want to walk away knowing that's the best. I put a lot of time into it. It's tough to say best. That's a your best varies on different days, obviously, and it's hard to objectively say this was my best. But do you feel good about the effort you put in? Tom Todoroff always says, love takes time, loves makes time. You want to know what you really love? Look at your calendar and look at how you're spending time, whether it's people or whether it's activities or whatever it is. It's how you're spending it. Your time is your life. Your schedule is your life. Your agenda is your life.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're putting time into is going to be indicative of what you love and what you want to improve. And if you're not putting that in, it's like the worst feeling in the world is getting a really big opportunity as an actor, not putting enough time into it, and auditioning and then having a feeling of like, I wish I had more time, or I wish I had put more energy into it. I wish I had worked harder. It's like you don't want regrets, and that applies to your life too. You don't want to be on your deathbed and be like, man, imagine I had tried, And even the word "try" is a dirty word. We like to say. Tom always says to try.
Try is to lie. It makes my mother cry, and then I die.
Nike didn't say just try it. He said
Yeah.
they said just do it.